Running fans, jumping fans, stalling fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there on this Monday, July 7th, 2025? I hope everybody had a safe, happy, and fun 4th of July weekend. I know I had a good time. Dave, I went to go see a Kids Bop show.
That's the first concert I took my daughters to, was a Kids Bop concert in about 130-degree weather at
That was
PNC
the
Art
first
Center.
one my two came. We were over at Bethel Woods over here.
Now, if I mention Kids Bop to my daughters, like, Dad, come on, it's not cool
Dad,
anymore.
we
So,
like listening to songs with curses now, Dad.
yes, of course. So enjoy the Kids Bop while you can. It's a fun concert. The kids are full of energy, and I had fun. And my daughters did have fun. They won't say it now, but they
Yeah.
had a lot of fun when they went.
I'm just happy that now the kids can actually sing because back when Kids Bop started when I was younger, they were just like
Oh,
kids exactly like me, just yelling into a mic to
yeah,
try like it was awful. Now at least they
it's
have some
improved
musical
quite a
talent
bit. Yeah.
significantly. So that was my weekend. Dave, did you have a fun weekend?
I had a nice relaxing weekend,
Good.
Now I'm finally into my summer schedule, after having a little week off from
Yes.
teaching and coaching. So yeah, just kind of just figuring it out.
Hanging
So
out. So before we get into all the fun stuff, everyone, please, wherever you're watching from, number one, we appreciate that. Whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, Kick, or Twitch, we appreciate you all out there. Thank you very much. Make sure you like, share, follow, go do all that good stuff. If everyone were right now to go share it out to your friends, say,
yeah,
hey, come over here, we would maybe get like 6 viewers. That would be awesome. No, but we appreciate everyone that's currently watching. You guys are all
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
And if you're listening to this later via podcast form, wherever you're listening to, I'm stumbling on my words. Wherever you're listening to, thank you very much. We appreciate it as well. Please give us 5 stars and all that good stuff. So, Dave, we want to take a minute real quick. Pre-Classic happened this weekend.
I was just gonna say, wow.
So I have to say, there was a risk with what they did by ending off with the women's 15 instead of the mile. And honestly,
It paid
when
off.
it paid off in the end, but when you first watched it, that finish to the Bowerman Mile, I'm looking at it going, man, this should have ended the meet. You know what I mean? When
It
you're
was
there at that moment, you're like, that would have been a
Dude,
beautiful meet ending.
how good is that Laros? He's young too, man. To come up like
20 years old.
I didn't even notice him. It was a 2-man race. It was Hobbs and it was Yard, and all of a sudden you're like, and to come up on the inside. Shouldn't ever let him come up there, but
Cole Hocker did the same thing in the Olympics.
what
And
a
the thing is with Yard,
345, 20 years old.
the
Jeez.
difference is with Yard there, he was going for the world record. He was there. He was trying to do it. So he ran out of steam. I think in a normal situation, if he was racing,
Yeah,
I think that's Yard's race to win if they're just racing.
agreed.
You know what I mean? But I think just the way it happened where it was 0.01 seconds.
Dude, but not that.
Awesome.
We also had an 11-second PR in that meet, in that race. Grant
11
Fisher is now a 348 miler to go along with his 5. That guy is
I think we had 10
unbelievable.
guys under 350 in that
Dude,
race.
it's
It was a great race.
And
Faith
then
Kipyegon with the world record later. Chibet running a world record, first woman under 14 by 13:58 too. Shattered
She
it.
just run to 59, 30, and she looked.
13:58.
And not that she was in a race. She was in a
3
race
women.
for the last 200 meters.
And
It was a
Segay
race.
was there too, who
Yeah,
was
it was unbelievable.
awesome. It was so fun to watch.
It was great. The big question mark I think afterwards is Athing Mu 203. Like where
She's running at Ed Murphy, so
Where
she's
is
not
she?
shying away though. She's running at Ed Murphy. Here's what I think.
she kind of had some words though for her coach. Like I don't know if she's fully bought into what's going on over there with the whole.
Here's what's going on with the thing, and I see it. She just got married. She's kind of been away. She's been running 15. She's been kind of getting her fitness up.
She ran a 5Ks too.
She's running 5Ks, running 15s. I think the base was the goal there. And honestly, I've knocked Coach Kersey. You know what I mean? I've done it as well. But I think there's a plan there to get her fit. And I think he's going to look at her and go, why were you in the back with your base?
Yes,
and you know what I mean? I feel like that's probably where they went. She's running at Ed Murphy this weekend.
We'll find out. And
we'll see.
That is like the biggest meet almost now in the country.
I'm saying 158. I'm thinking the thing comes out, runs a 158.
All right.
I think the 203 was her not understanding where her training is. And I think we're going to see her go out. I think she's going to go out in like 59 or something. She's going to go out hard and she's going to maintain and run a pretty good race. I'm seeing 158 for a thing because I can't see a thing Mo running another 2 flat or over 2 minutes. I don't think she's going to do it.
It was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was hard, but that was a great race as well. But so let's bring in our guest real quick. Before we do that, last week's guest, I always talk about last week's. We had a good time. Daniel Yetman, founder of the brand new news page, The Oval Update. If you have not gone and followed it on Instagram, and he's everywhere right now. He's on X. He's everywhere. but Instagram is where he's trying to base around. Go to the Oval Update, follow it on Instagram. He had on all of the pre-winners. He had cool graphics for every single
Yeah,
one.
it was great.
Doing an also awesome job. Visit his page, the Oval Update. There's stories there all the time. You might catch me sneaking in and maybe writing a story about some mid-distance stuff because he's more of a jumper and stuff. So go back there, listen to last week's episode, go follow the Oval Update, and go and visit it. Get your track news from there because, damn it, we said so. But now let's bring it to the fun stuff.
Let's do it.
Let's bring in our guest for today. She's someone who I scolded before we came on because we should have had her on a while ago. She is friends with one of your athletes, and has connections upon connections to many of the people that we've had on, which is the typical. But we are pumped to have her on.
Yes.
She is Tilly O'Connor. She is a St. Rose cross country track and field alum, and currently a Villanova Wildcat cross country and track and field runner. What's going on, Tilly?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, we are excited to have you on. Like I said, I feel like you're one of the people. Like we're at episode 148. You should have been like moons ago. We should have had you on. If you just, it's such a natural because we've just been consolidating all of like the great New Jersey runners in the past and present
Yeah.
that just kind of fit in, and we just want to make sure like we just have. You can't leave New Jersey and go to college unless you came on our show. Like that needs to be, like, a rule. Like, and colleges need to adhere to it. Like, hey, you cannot run your first race or be enrolled
That's
if
right.
you're a runner until you went on Talking in Oval. So you're
Yeah.
now officially going to be a part of Villanova after today.
Awesome.
So, before we get into talking about all the good stuff, your career and things like that, I want to bring it down a little bit with the somber note because there has just been an overall tragedy that happened in our country, and it doesn't pertain necessarily to track and field, but we talk all about like track and field places and things like that. And the tragedy occurred in Texas. We talk about Texas all the time. Over in the Texas Hill country there, they had a immense flash flood. The Guadalupe River rose 26 inches in about 45, 50 minutes. People were swept up. There's a whole entire camp of little kids that still unaccounted for. I'm pretty sure they're at 80 plus dead right now. There's almost 200 people unaccounted for. Whether you pray, don't pray, thoughts, whatever it is, keep these people in your thoughts, your prayers. If you can figure out a way to, if you have a charity you like to donate to, something like that, sending supplies. They're going to have to rebuild these places. People's lives are upended. We have heroic stories coming out left and right now about people sacrificing themselves. Jim Lambert just did a great story on a former New Jersey runner, had his first rescue missions down there and has rescued 100 plus people in his first rescues. Like there's these stories coming out about heroics, but there's a lot of loss. There's a lot of tragedy. So we just want to reach out, Talking in Ovals, and just send our grievances over there to anyone that is lost and suffering right now. So, Dave, if you have anything you want to add.
What you said was pretty much spot on. We would just hope that everyone can find some sort of peace and some sort of normalcy after this tragedy.
Yeah. And Tilly, if you have anything more, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know many people from Texas, but there's a few runners there who I'm friends with. So, reaching out to their community and wishing 100%. Them the best.
Yes. Yeah. So once again, heartfelt grievances to everyone there. So on that note, we're going to jump right in and we're going to have our regular show, even though it's hard after those types of things, right? It's like kind of awkward, but it's what we're going to do, darn it. We're going to push forward because I guarantee there were a bunch of track and field fans that are also in Texas that would want to see us do our show normally. So, Tilly, we are going to jump into the fun stuff and we're going to ask you the question that we ask all of our individuals that come on this show. When did you get the spark to not only just start running, or when did you start running, but when did you get the spark to make running something that you wanted to actively pursue and continue to pursue?
I think it was pretty young. I started running, when I was in second grade, and I had this great program at my grammar school where every Sunday we'd have like cross country meets.
Nice.
And I think I just loved getting out there and like trying to win. Like I loved just winning, and like I love the competitive nature of it, and it was like unlike any other sport I did. So honestly, from the beginning, like from like second and third grade, I had so much fun with it, and the environment was awesome. So I think, it was always something I loved and knew that I wanted to keep doing it.
So, knowing your dad and his big running prowess and the fact that he's still going. I mean, this guy can still rip like a 61 second 400 meter. I
Mhm.
mean, he's the guy.
Awesome.
It's awesome. Did his running prowess have any influence over you? And because when you're a young kid, you kind of want to do what your parents do. So did that have any influence on you getting into the sport?
I think it definitely did. I played a lot of sports. I think,
Sure.
he was pretty big on me. Like my parents
As
were
you-
both big on me on I swam, I ran,
Good.
swimming was a big one. But he would always take me out on these runs like on the weekend and he'd be like, "Okay, Tilly, like 4 miles today." And I was like, "Oh, that seems like a really long way." But, it kind of like it was time for us to, we ran together, so it was so much
So cool.
fun. And I think that, yeah, he had a big influence on me getting into the sport. So, and he's super knowledgeable, so that
Yeah.
helped a lot with me,
Sure.
with injury and anything that I ever struggled with. So,
It's always nice when we hear the story of, I was into it from the get go because we get a lot of different stories of how people get into the sport. And a lot of them are, I wanted to do a different sport, but I ended up winning a lot and I was really good. So I switched to this. And don't get me wrong, I always like to make the joke like when I tell people I was a runner, I ran in college. They're like, I just hate running. I could never do it. I'm like, here's the trick. Most of us hate running. We're just really good at it. Like most of us don't like it. Like we like winning. Like that's like we like being competitive. It's like, yeah, we're just really good at what we did. So, but it is cool to hear someone that,
Sure.
got that bug right away. And it is one of these sports where, like a lot of sports, you can connect with your children to it, right? Like baseball, a lot of baseball dads will throw the ball with their, daughter or son early on, get them into it.
Sure.
Running's a similar sport in that way where, you can go and from a young age, you could start running with your kids, right? Like you could sit there and, my older daughter's 7. I can go start doing a half mile, a mile with her and it won't hurt her, right? As
right.
long as you're doing things safely and smart. I question some of these kids that are running ridiculous times at young
Yeah.
ages. Like that concerns me with some of these times that we're seeing lately. But it is a sport where you can bond. And I think it's super cool that
Oh,
you had this opportunity to bond with your dad. Did you ever feel any pressure to run and not necessarily put on by him, but because of who he was to engage in the sport? Or was it just genuine love and passion?
No, I can't say I ever really felt much pressure.
Yeah.
Just because I knew whatever sport I picked, I was just gonna work towards that.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of just happened to be running because that's what I liked the most.
Sure.
Beautiful.
But no, I was pretty lucky. Like I didn't have much pressure. But I do remember like running the spring like 5, for the first time. I was in like 7th or 8th grade with my dad and he ran it with me and I like just like really wanted to be the first spring like female. And he was like, "Okay, like you got it." Like, and it was like a huge moment for me because he did the entire thing with me.
That's awesome.
That's
So
fantastic.
it was always just like a super fun thing for me. And I am lucky that it was that way. So I'm really appreciative of that.
I love that so much because you get the horror stories of parents that like push their kids too far, or live vicariously through them, and things like that. And just to hear a wholesome, supportive, and like positive out of it is what you want to hear, right? It's exactly how you want to hear it happen. So I freaking love that.
So have you raced in a race where you and your dad both raced, and what was the result?
I love that.
Not really, actually. I think we started doing track workouts together.
I'm thinking a turkey trot this November is in order. A 5K this November is in order.
Yeah, I think, in high school we started doing track workouts together. And I think it was sometime around then when I started to like catch up and like his times and my times like converged. And but we haven't actually raced each other. No, I think, I think it's safe to say that I would win, I would hope. But
Yeah.
you never know. It's 60
Listen,
quick.
he is dad, so he has those magical dad powers and dad strength. So I'm not gonna say that he can't beat you. I don't know.
Can we put that gauntlet down now? I want a turkey trot between you two this November while you're on your little mini break, because they always give the mini breaks, and a lot of athletes do go do just like a shakeout 5K and things like that. I want you guys to do a competitive turkey trot, and I want the result back, and we will announce it on this show when you do it.
We could get laced up. I'm sure it'd be pretty competitive.
Yes, I'm waiting for it. Honestly, if it doesn't happen, I will be incredible. And then I will push it back to like a Christmas one. Like I will make this happen. If it doesn't, I will keep on pushing for it. And that only benefits you, right? The longer it waits, it only benefits you more and more, because you're going to get faster. It's Father Time doesn't lose. So,
No.
So, I want you to go back because now, even though you're young, your career is young, you have so much ahead of you. You've obviously done a lot of running starting in
Mhm.
second grade and things like that. So, you already recounted one of your awesome memories with your dad running that,
Smart.
Spring Lake 5. What are some of your other favorite memories? Start off from when you were super young and bring it all the way up to Villanova.
Yeah, I think, before high school, I used to do these, like, junior Olympic meets, and then I, went with Coach Bob Andrews with Gone Running,
Yeah.
and I would go to those, and yeah, exactly.
The logo hasn't changed.
And I think something about, like, Junior Olympics, I was like, "Wow, like, this is so cool," and, the environment, I met all these, awesome girls, like Emma Zawatsky, Jessica Abbott, like,
Mhm.
super talented and cool
Yeah,
girls.
man.
Like, those meets were super fun for me before high school, and then I think during high school, one of, like, my standout, like, things that I remember the most is junior year indoor track. I won all 4
I just saw
events.
that today. Yep.
Yeah, the 400, the 800, the mile, and the 2 mile, and obviously Napoke is not like other groups, but for
It's
me,
still 4 wins.
That's
yeah, for me, that was
fantastic.
like a huge accomplishment. I was so proud of myself. And then I think in college now, just like in general, the team trips, all of them,
Yeah.
I have so much fun with my team. We're all so close, and getting that time to travel together and compete together and all put on the same singlet is like my favorite thing ever. So lots of awesome running memories, from when I was thinking in second grade all the way up to college. So it's
It's amazing to me. You mentioned the youth running programs like the Gone Running. Like how many people from that program are top in the state. It just proves that a lot of people think that youth running isn't always great. It can be done so well if it's
Mhm.
fun, if it's done right. Like there's so many different ways to do it, and obviously from the results that we've seen from you and from other athletes there, it's been working really really well.
Yes, it has, and I think it's, like, such a fun introduction to it, like, truly makes you love the sport, and I think that's, like, was a huge plus for me, like, it was such an awesome, way to get to know running, and, I think that helped me a lot on my journey, and it was relaxed, but it was also, serious enough where it
Yeah,
was
well, I mean, because
fun.
there's a lot of levels. That there's the junior Olympic program, and then there's just the rec program. So it's whatever level is right for you, and you can get pushed as hard as you want to get pushed at that age.
Right, and you
It's
could
good.
do other sports too, like, I remember I was
Sure.
trying to, like, still do all of my sports at the same time for as long as possible until high school, so it could be done for sure.
And the one thing about Gone Running that I've heard is I haven't heard a single negative thing coming from any of the athletes. All of the athletes, and that's a testament to Big Bob.
Mhm.
It's a testament to Brian. It's a testament to, you, Dave, and coming in there. And everyone I've heard talk about it has had such a positive thing to say about it. And it's rare when you have so many individuals go through a program for so long to find so many people that are just, really going and continuing to say positive
Yeah.
things. It's so cool. It is great to hear, and I absolutely love it. So quick question for you: being someone who has, won 4 races at a major meet, right? What is your opinion of what Natalie Dumas did?
I was just gonna ask that.
Not only at Meet of Champs, but then to go to nationals and do it again. Like, holy crap! Like, the difficulty of having to do that and
Mhm.
continuing not just to get physically prepared, right? Because you knew you want to do this. A physical you can trust, but to mentally sit there and go, okay, 10-minute warm up, 10-minute cool down. Like, what is that like? Number one, getting your mindset. Number two, what's your opinion on what she was able to do, not only at Meet of Champs, but then to go to nationals and do it as well?
Yeah, honestly, that was, like, an incredible performance on her part, not just the individual races, but being able to do that all of those together within, like, the same period of time is, like, I think the biggest accomplishment of all, and, yeah, props to her, that was awesome. I have to say, like, when I was watching that, I was like, there has to be a race that she doesn't win, like, there's no way she wins all
We
of
were
them.
looking at the 8, and
I
it was like, okay, Clemmy's in that race, Reese is in that race, like, there was, like,
and then
Moore's
at
in that
nationals,
race.
she had like Sadie Englehart. Like
Yeah,
it's like
it's insane.
I know, and I was like, "There has to be one, like, she doesn't like, it's impossible," but I guess the girl just doesn't get tired, I don't know.
No
so. Do you
lactic
get
acid buildup at all.
so like do you get hyped when you're in that Villanova distance room and all these people from New Jersey
Yes,
are
yeah.
like winning nationals? Like, do you take pride in that? And especially in the distance events, like we won the 800, Paige won the 1600. Like, do you get pride out of that? And is there some bragging rights, among different states at that college level?
Yes, for sure. We kind of have like a joke on the women's team. Like we always like talk about how awesome New Jersey is, and I think some of the other girls like sometimes are like, all right, like, but it is an awesome feeling like looking around. I'm like the men's and women's team. There's so many New Jersey alum, and I'm like, there's like it's like a such an awesome group, and then to know we all come from the same state, we all competed at Meet of Champs, we all ran at Homedale, we've
Yep.
all been there, and now everyone is like off at nationals and doing these awesome things in college. Just shows you how strong New Jersey running is, like not even like in high school, but in college too. So it's awesome to be a part of that. I'm so happy.
So being at one of the major programs in the country, do you look at what some of these girls are doing and go, maybe I should reach out to her? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because athletes can talk to other athletes, right? Like, you could talk about your experiences and things like that. There's no tampering involved there. Like, you can just talk about, what schools you're deciding on. But does that cross your mind to be like, I want her? Like, come on our team. Like, she'd be a great fit, or girls that because again, NCAA is weird about some things, but there's nothing wrong with at least going after me and be like, hey, what
Yeah.
colleges you thinking of?
Like,
Like,
does
things like that.
does your coach ever say, "You're from Jersey, they're from Jersey, make it happen"?
Yes, yes. I mean, not so much in that way,
Right,
but
right,
I think
Do
definitely
you
like
have a relationship with this person, or a
right.
web that can lead to that person type of
I
thing?
think pretty much if I've ever talked to that person and I know them, then I have probably texted them asking, being like, "Hey, like, how's your college process looking like?" It's so easy now, just like look up their name on Instagram and send them a little
And
DM.
everyone follows each other now
Yeah,
too. Like, all the good runners around follow each other, and I can imagine a lot of these good runners are following you anyway because you're Tilly O'Connor. You were a great runner in Jersey. Like, we want to be friends with her too. Like,
Sure.
it's such a web now, and it's cool and it's not at the same time because you guys are all too damn nice. But at the same time, it helps her college.
it does. Yeah, and I think like being a high schooler and having, someone from college, I know that, when girls DM'd me when I was in high school, I felt like
Sure.
they were like looking at me and I felt like, oh, like wow, like maybe they want me on their team. Like being wanted, I think
Yeah,
is like a great feeling and that really it helps you in your decision process. So have reached out to girls and I will continue to reach out to girls. I
it's
think
awesome.
now that I'm a little older, I'm like a little less connected than I was, but the past 2 years I've been doing my best to keep that New
But that's
Jersey
even
Villanova
more
vibe.
badass now because you're an upperclassman, and now an upperclassman notices me at
Yeah.
Villanova. Like, that's a big deal. I can go win a wheel there. Let's do this. Like, nothing bigger
Yeah.
than the wheel.
So obviously, you had a great career at St. Rose, did some great training. Can you kind of get into the biggest differences between high school training and maybe college? Like, was it as big of a jump as you thought, or was it kind of more of the same of what you were doing, or was there a big jump?
I'd say there definitely was a big jump. Going into college, people were always like, "Oh, like it's a huge adjustment, just like be prepared." And like in my head, I was like, "No, like it's not that hard. I'll be fine." But like once I got there, I did realize it was a bit different. I think running wise, it's like a lot more structured.
Yeah.
In high school, you kind of just did workouts like on random days and whenever it fit in. And but in
Right.
college, you're like Tuesdays, Fridays workouts, like long runs, Sundays, and I think
Get in the weight room 3 days a week in the morning,
yeah,
You know what I was saying?
doubles and things like that. Yeah.
I always felt that to a high school runner, like running or whatever athlete in college is more like kind of like your first job. Like you're kind of learning what it takes to be committed to maybe go to somewhere where you don't want to go there, but you have to go. It's
Yeah.
like a job. Like you don't always want to do it, but you have to because it's part of your requirement.
right. Yeah, it is. It is. And it was like an adjustment, like intensity wise, like the workouts are harder than, volume wise, you run more miles. So
Definitely.
it is a jump. And I think I underestimated that jump along with like, the impact of school and, whatever else is going on in college.
Having a lot of free time and knowing how to
Yes,
manage
right.
it and things
See,
like
like, it's
that.
funny because, like, the college athletics part is way more structured than high school
Everything
athletics,
else. Yeah.
but everything else in college is so much less structured,
Right.
so it's about
Yeah.
finding that time, like, "Alright, like, I gotta do this," and then finding time for yourself and classes, and it's a lot bigger of an adjustment that everyone says, and for those freshmen who can come in and just pick it up right away, kudos to them, but that's why you see a lot of kids who redshirt their freshman year because it takes a time to adjust.
Yeah, it does for sure. And for me, there's like a lot of trial and error. Like I learned what worked for me, I learned what didn't. And in college, there's no one there to like do
Hold
things
your
for you.
hand. Yeah.
It's all on you. And I think, it took me a while to learn that, but once I got over the hump, then I started to see like a lot of improvement. So that was rewarding for sure. But
Well, like it's a whole different mind frame. Like you're in high school, like you are, you know, you are it. Like you are State Road. You know, like at that time, like everybody came to watch anniversary, and then you go there and you're like, wait, everybody on this team is like I was. Like
yes,
everybody is like me. So
They're all
like
state champions. They're
you know,
all state
and like
competitive. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
They all
and
went to
whether
Nats.
and whether we want to admit or not, as human beings, like that's a little like demoralized. Like I'm not like you lose that sense of aura, and it takes time to
Right,
almost get it back. And it's just human nature. Like
Yeah.
I'm not here anymore. I'm just right
right.
with everyone else. Like whoa, this is weird.
Yeah, and I remember my first like real cross country race I ran. I was like, in like the middle to back of the pack, and I was like, this is not what I'm used to. Like I'm used to like being up front, like trying to win. And yeah, it's like what you said, like everyone there is good, everyone on the
Yeah.
line is good. So it's like it's totally
And
different.
all the girls that are around you there were also state competitive. They were
Yeah.
also, it's like
Yeah.
so you're getting it the best of the best, and they're
No,
a bunch of
and
grown women at that point, right? You
that's
realize
the
when you
thing.
get there, I'm an 18-year-old kid when I'm
Yeah.
looking at 21-year-old women all around me, and it's like I'm a child compared to them now. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? But that's why, like, kind of what you said, I thought that was great. Like the mental thing, like it's
Yes,
hard to get
yes.
used to not being up front when that's all that you've ever known. Like
Right.
you're like it's like, am I still good? Like, why am I back here? Like you question yourself so many times, but because you're running against people that were just as good as you in high school, you know?
So one
Yes.
thing that I found, my freshman year, I came in, I needed surgery, things like that. Like they knew that. Leaning on my seniors and the juniors, as much as the freshmen that I came in with, but the seniors and juniors, especially the seniors that I was around that year, were great guys, great women, super encouraging. Like they didn't just sit there and shrug me off because I was a freshman. I was an injured freshman coming in, needing ankle surgery. Like they could have very easily just brushed me aside, but they were a great group of seniors. And and I leaned on my coaches. Dave obviously knows I'm still very good friends with my former coaches and things like that. How was that for you? Did you lean on your group of seniors? How were they when you came in? And what about the coaches? How were they helping in the transition as well?
Yeah, so I got really lucky. My team is super close, and whenever my freshman year I was like struggling with injury or sickness, like I was always able to go to my teammates and my coach, and they were always able to not only give me advice but reassure me that I was going to be okay, and that there was light at the end of the tunnel. But I think also a lot of the seniors had like shared experiences. Like I think a low iron for females is like a pretty
Oh,
common thing,
yeah.
and I've never experienced it my entire life, and I thought for sure like everyone was always faking it. But then there's
When you go from 40 miles a week to 70 and 80, like that tends to be a big difference.
it, it's funny because my entire team has also experienced that with it,
Yeah.
like
Oh
their
yeah.
freshman, their sophomore year. So you always like you tell your coach, and the coach orders you all the pills, and then so I was never afraid to talk to anyone. So I got
Great.
super lucky about that, and it was awesome to have them there. Um, and obviously Gina's awesome too. You could go to her about anything, and
Yeah.
she'll give you advice, and always super supportive and cares so much.
That's awesome.
So we have a great question. Coach Carl Torchia always coming in with some awesome stuff. He wants to know, what is your favorite workout? And I'd imagine this is universal, probably high school. And maybe what's your favorite workout from high school, and what has been your favorite workout in college so far? And maybe you don't want to say the college one because coach is going to be like, let's murder her again. But what are your two favorites? Give me high school and college.
In high school, we did at Homedale Park, we would do these reps from the start line to like halfway up that top hill.
Oof.
So it was probably like, I would say like a little over 400.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally the hardest 400 at Homedale.
Training the
Oh,
start. Yeah, you gotta train that start, because if you don't get out hard, and once it funnels in, not only are the elbows flying, but you're
Yeah.
slowing down.
And in the summer, the grass is thick. You go there in the morning, it's wet, brutal workout.
Oh
But
yeah.
I had so much fun doing it. And every time I was like, all right, I was on the line. I was like, this is what I'm doing in my race. Like, and then, so that was my favorite high school workout. In college, we have a lot of great track workouts that I love. A lot of times we just do like sets of 4x400, and then I like at mile pace. And if I could do any distance over and over again, it'd be 400s. I love 400s.
Quarters
So
are so fun. I love quarters. I used to
yeah,
love
they're
quarters as
See,
well.
she never backs out of the 4x4 like a lot of the other athletes do.
yeah,
Well,
no, I was
ask
always
a distance runner to go in and run an open 4.
They
They're
will
like,
run it.
yes, let's go.
but yeah, I'd say like those like 4x400s. I think we do like 2 or 3 sets of them, but those are like my favorite.
So you mentioned, obviously you run cross country and track. To the, we have some younger kids who listen, what would you say is the biggest difference between cross country and track? Like just in general, because a lot of kids ask me like, well, don't you do the same workouts for cross country that you do for track? I'm like, well, no. So like to a young kid who's looking to get into distance running, what would you say is the biggest difference between cross country and then track and field?
Yeah, if I was like talking to someone who like didn't really know
Sure.
running super well, I'd be like cross country. You're in the woods, you have hills, you have grass, and it's a long time out there, and you have to be like mentally tough. And for track, you have to just like know your race and win the race on that day. So sometimes, running track and winning a track race means like sitting and kicking, but in cross
Yep.
country, it's always going to be that gritty, like just like stay tough, run as hard as you can. But so that's like kind of like my take
And
on.
which one of those do you prefer?
I'd say, I love both, but I'm more of a track person at heart. I love the consistency of it, I think. But that you never know, that could change within the next few years.
See, I was more of an XC guy because it just felt like it was just us. It was only distance runners. There was no, but it was just us, and we just got to be a team. And I just felt like from a team perspective, I loved cross country because it was
Yeah.
just really, really close. But I too also felt that I was better running on the actual track.
I was a
Yes.
track guy
Yeah,
through
that's
and
a
through.
great point. Yeah.
I
But
was a track guy.
the
Yeah.
team on like if you have a good XC team and everyone gets along and everyone's doing their part, there's nothing better than that team chemistry of a great cross country team. It's just magical. Like when everyone's kind of firing and you run a race and everyone does their actual part and you do well, there's nothing better than it. I guess maybe if you run a really good relay, but
Mhm.
there's just nothing because I just love that whole team aspect.
Right. And I do have to say, like, cross country, like, at the end of the day, you have one men's race and one women's race, and it's just 2 races. Track,
Yeah.
you have a million things, and there's like something really special just about having, one race in each category. And
Sure.
yeah, so that cross country, yeah, the adrenaline and the vibes are like they're crazy. So that's one great thing about it.
Yeah, yeah, it is a good part. So, what would you say are the differences that you have found in terms of the training process for each, for cross country and for track? Because number one, what's your specialty on the track currently? What are your distances on the track?
This year I really focused on the 1500, so
So your training obviously changed up, right? From
does. Yeah.
5K, 6K down to, 15. So what were your training differences and how did that work with the transition? Because obviously, especially for us in the Northeast, indoor season's a season. It is
Mhm.
super long. It's the one you want to attack really hard, especially because we have all those Boston meets and the Armory. Like there's so many places to go around us. You have that beautiful area right by UPenn, that facility opened up right up the road from you.
Nice.
So, what was that transition like having to go from that heavy base being ready? You're a scorer for Villanova in XC, so it's not like you're just training for indoor. Like you're in it to go score points for Nova. So,
Right.
what is that like transitioning from that longer race to then have to switch up mindset to now going ovals, not circles? I almost said it. Going ovals very fast.
Yeah, I mean, for the women's team at Villanova, it's like a total change. We go from doing all of our workouts, on trails and on grass, and then all of a sudden everything just switches to the track.
Spike up and get on the track.
Yeah, which is awesome. But for me, it takes a long time for me to get that speed in my legs again. It takes like
Got it.
many, many weeks of track training. And I think sometimes it could be a little hard going into the season, and I've never have been in shape at the start of indoors as much as I would like to be. But it's always something where I'm just like, all right, I just have to stick with it, like make
Sure.
it through these first few weeks.
Have you tried to work on a plan with coach to kind of get you there? Because it is difficult. Because at Villanova, you guys are going pretty far every year in cross country. It's not like you guys go to nationals. It's not like you're done at, IC4As and then you can go and have 2-3 weeks off. Like Nova's at nationals. That's just the expectation. It's
Yeah,
where you guys go. And,
sure.
it's not just regions. You guys get to nationals. So it's like, that's a long XC season as well. So have you had conversations with coach about the best way to transition? Do you take a few meets off?
Hmm.
In indoor just to get yourself ready and feeling good about the track. What does that process you? Because it's different for every single runner
Right.
and what they're able to do.
Sure.
Yeah, I did. We have a meeting, every once in
Of
a
course.
while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this year, unfortunately, I got out like pretty sick indoors over
Mm.
Christmas breaks. That like put
Mm.
like a huge like
Training damper.
dent
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
training for like
Yeah.
many weeks. So that was unfortunate. But we do have those conversations, like really trying to like buffer the in between time, and it can be hard just like going from cross country to running 800s all of a sudden.
Sure.
I think but
Very hard.
But
yeah,
I do like, though, how you are self-aware, and every
Yes.
year that you keep training, you're going to learn more and more about what works for you. So that's good that you're not allowing yourself to get mentally frustrated by it, because you just know that's something that is within you. So that's cool. And every year that you keep running, you're going to learn more and more about yourself and how your body responds to certain situations. So that's good.
yes, yeah. And I feel like especially this year, after like a successful year at Villanova, like freshman year, like it was good, but just
It's a transition year. Some people burst out because and I think it's also the difference between, you obviously had gone running as a base. You had Bob, who really was knowledgeable about how to, run.
Yeah.
And you had good coaching over in high school. So you understood what to do. So I think a lot of the ones that have that big burst out are the ones that were so raw in high school and didn't have all that as much guidance. Then all
right,
of a sudden they get it and now their potential starts to explode, right? Where
right.
you were very measured, you had good training, you knew. So it was more of a transition for you of, okay, I got to get used to this training. And I think it's different from those who don't have as much training in high school to finally get it and then they
Sure.
explode, as opposed to those who, sometimes it's not a curse to have a good coach in high school, but
Hmm.
you already have some structure that you were used to, that you grasped onto, you had success with.
Right.
And now it's a whole new animal. And that your freshman year is an adjustment
Oh
period.
yeah, I mean,
100%.
but and also like we said earlier, like you're not home. You're on your own. You have to get meal,
You're an
at the
adult now.
cafeteria. Like you have to get yourself up, go to your classes. So like freshman year is a huge transition.
You
It
can't
is.
have Chipotle every night.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew?
Your bank account plus your body doesn't want it.
Yeah.
So, I want to circle back a little bit because I want to talk about Villanova, because obviously you had a very successful high school career. So you obviously had some options, right? Going into college.
Hmm.
Number one, what were you looking for in a school? And why did you ultimately choose Villanova as the place to go? And kind of give us, your recruiting rundown. You don't have to name any other schools or anything like that, but kind of how that process went for you. Because Dave and I always like to do this with our high school athletes that are still currently in college and things like that, because you went through this recruiting process not too long ago, right? It started end of junior year, all throughout
Hmm.
senior. So what was all that like for you? What were you looking for, and why ultimately Villanova?
Hmm. I think that I got good in high school, like right at the perfect time. So it was like my junior year, and then all of a sudden I had these coaches who were messaging me, and I was kind of like overwhelmed a little bit, but
Yeah.
super excited. And I really thought that I wanted like a huge school, I want to go far away, and I wanted to have like a college experience. And then I was visited these schools, like these big schools, and I realized that's not actually what I want. And I think it took me going there and meeting the coaches and meeting the team to realize that. And then Villanova, which I initially hadn't really been interested in, because I was like, oh, it's close, it's a small school, Catholic, like. But now, but then I went to go look at it, and I just like fell in love. It was an awesome program. The school's beautiful,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yes, very nice.
Gina was, I loved her. I knew she was gonna give me, like, make me the best runner I could be. And it was kind of like right when I got there, I realized, that's not actually what I wanted, and I really want something like close by. And it was like a big switch in my mind, but I think it was like definitely the best decision I could have made for myself, realizing that. And yeah, like once I stepped foot on campus, I realized like that was gonna be my spot. So
So does the fact that you live in New Jersey and that you've run at Penn Relays multiple times, and like we've all been at Penn, and like Villanova they just own Penn for whatever reason. That's what like. Did that have
They
any
do.
like? Wouldn't it be cool to add my list to the name of people who won a wheel for Nova? Like, did that? Because I know like I didn't know anything about Villanova until I started going to the Penn Relays, and I was like, wow,
right.
I was not nearly smart enough to even smell that school, but but like, but my friend went there, and it's just like as an athlete in this state in New Jersey going to the Penn Relays, that's a school that you just admire because every year they're in it. I mean, I was more watching it from the boys' side, but the girls' side with Vicky Huber, and they've just had
Yes.
even if you get more recently with you know Amanda Marino from Jackson,
Hmm.
like like it's had such a great tradition of New Jersey runners. Did that play any role?
Yes, because I remember I went to Penn Relays and I raced there a few times. And at the time in high school, it was like the biggest race I've ever done. So it was like a huge moment, like seeing this all these people in the crowd. I was like, this is so cool. And then I went to go visit Villanova. And then when you walk down the hallways, it's lined with wheels, like lined. You could like go down ages and there's
So
wheels in the
cool.
locker room, there's wheels everywhere. And then I kind of like saw that. I was like, oh, like I just raced at Penn Relays. Like, wouldn't it be so awesome if like one day like I could be holding a wheel like that? So it hasn't happened yet, but I
You
really feel like
will.
we can, and it's like one of my biggest goals, and definitely something that connected the dots in high school. Is like I ran at Penn Relays, and now I can run at Penn Relays again as a college athlete, and win a wheel like that.
So is the wheel talked about as much there as people on the outside like us think that is? Like, is it as important like as it seems from the outside?
Yes, yeah, it's like kind of like my coach talks about it all the time. Like Penn Relays is like, yeah, Villanova like owns Penn Relays. It's like our home, like
Yeah,
that's
listen,
where we
my
succeed. So
my high school won one. They won the 4x8 in 1974, and that's like I went to school in the 90s, and that's every day my coach is like, look at that wheel.
yeah,
Like
It is
it's a cool
certainly a
thing.
big deal.
it
So
is.
I love that you kind of gave that perspective to some of the talented athletes, because I feel like when you are a talented athlete, when especially we love to toot our own horn, but I think we saw the results of it. When you're good in Jersey, you're good nationally. There's a few places that are like that: Jersey, Florida,
Texas.
Texas, Cali.
Mhm.
You're really good there. The nation notices, and you kind of got that experience, right? Like you rose to prominence in Jersey, and all of a sudden, here's a Big Ten school, here's
Yeah.
a SEC school, here's a
Mhm.
Pac-10 school when they existed, right? So it's like that can be overwhelming. And like you said, you visited these big schools. And I like that, and I think this is kind of a theme with you. You have that knowledge about yourself, which is, probably maturity beyond your years at the time,
Sure.
when you were able to notice, like, I don't have to go to these massive schools. I
Mhm.
don't have to go to these schools of, 100,000, whatever it is, the massive enrollment in order to be successful. I can go to a school with 12,000, 20,000 kids and be
Right.
okay. Like, and go to these programs that are still just as good as any other school with a great coach that I connect with and a team that,
Yeah.
that official visit's important,
It is.
because when you stay with the team, you could see what that team is about. And every team has a different vibe. Some of them are dead serious. And we've heard about these differences, right? And it
Sure.
works for different schools. Some of these schools are dead serious.
Different
That's what
athletes
they
too.
do. They don't do anything, and they win national championships. Some of them are a lot more relaxed. Let's have a good time. Let's
Mhm.
be serious when we need to, and they win a national championship. So
Right.
there's no one way, but I love the fact that you went there, you experienced it, and then when you got to Nova, you felt that connection. You didn't shy away from it. You didn't go, no, but I'm Telly O'Connor. I'm supposed to go to a massive school. I'm
Right.
supposed to, Flow Track is supposed to put me in the top 100 the moment
Right.
I get there because I'm here. Like, no, I want to go the best place for me. And not to mention one of the better educational schools in the country as
Sure.
well. That also helps a lot, I think, too. So I friggin' love that about you. I think that's a great story that
You know,
all great
yeah.
runners now need to be paying attention to as well.
And I think, as the whole college landscape is changing, we're going to see a lot of smaller schools get some really big time athletes. And we're going to see some coaches who have always been great start to get some of the recognition that they do. Because with
Definitely.
these, I mean, you look at Washington State, they are now distance only. They cut every other part. Like you're going to have schools that are going to
Which I
specialize
hate. I hate all
sprints,
that.
distance, or weight. Like it's because of all these roster limits. But you're going to see that
Right.
trickle down, and you're going to see a lot of great kids at D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, and it's going to be competitive everywhere. It might get to the point where it doesn't matter what school you go to. It matters who your coach is and who you're running for, and that relationship and the rapport you have with that coach, rather than the name on the front of the jersey. Because you're going to get, it's just going to be crazy. You're going to have kids everywhere because of these roster limits. That's my take.
Yes. And
Have
I think
you guys had
also,
a conversation about roster limits at all? Has Coach talked to you guys as a team about that? Because it's going to impact everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have. Unfortunately for us, like our team, like is it's not small, but it's not massive either.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect us too much. It actually
good.
works in our benefit. I think it kind of just means like the mid-distance girls who like sometimes run like a cross-country race here and there, like
We're going to be running cross-country races.
yeah, won't be doing that anymore. But yeah, so we don't. It doesn't
Yeah,
really
it's
too much.
because that's an awesome point, because I don't think people realize it's going to change the whole landscape of training, because you're not going to have that fall track season per se where your mid-distance runners, you're right, one run race, but train mid-distance wise in the fall, because they're taking up a spot of
Right.
someone that they could use in that distance race. So it's really going to change the whole landscape. I'm curious to see where it goes. I don't like it. I don't like putting limits on things, but it's
I
kind
hate
of
that
where
the federal
we are.
government got involved with it.
I
Go
know.
away. Go get out of our college sports. Go away. I hate whenever the federal government gets involved in any of our sports. Go somewhere. But so you wanted to add something, I believe, before you were going to say also. I'm sorry, we cut you off.
I think I was just gonna say, like, at these big schools with a lot of people on the team, that sometimes you have to realize that when you go in there, like sometimes you could just be a number.
Yes.
So if there's any girls watching, I'd kind of just encourage them, or guys too, but I'd encourage them to like really like look into the program and be like, how would I fit in here, and how would I be taken care of if like something were to go wrong? Because freshman year, like we said, a lot of things tend to go wrong. So that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
Love
you know
it.
what? Like that's why I think when you go on these actual official visits, it's important to pay attention to, like,
Which
not
are
just always say,
unlimited now.
I'm going to go and have fun. Like pay attention. Like this is your future. This is where
Right.
you are choosing to go. Like they are trying to get you there. So
Right.
don't act like, like you're just in awe. Like they have to woo you. Like you're the
Yeah.
one that they're trying to get. So keep that advantage on your side, and go there and just pay attention.
Yes.
So was it a factor that there's like 700 schools in Philadelphia? Like
All
a
on the
factor
same
for you?
road. They're
'Cause
all on
it's pretty
Route 1.
incredible when you think about, like, I don't think Philadelphia actually has a city. I just think it's one giant college, because like you guys, UPenn, Temple, Drexel,
St. Joe's, Radnor,
St.
they're all on
Joe's,
that same road.
all there. Did that
Yes.
have any sort of an impact, just knowing that it's like such an educational hub there? And even though you're in a major city, there's all these colleges. So like it's in a way a little bit safer, because you're in a city, but you just don't go to some parts, right? Stay near the
Right.
college parts. Did that kind of help the decision as well?
It did, because Villanova is pretty close to Philly. So
Mhm.
before I went there, like we had a conversation like, do you want to be like this close to a city? And I think at the end of the day, just like knowing that there's so many other people like me around, like obviously there's Villanova, and like you said, there's a million other schools
Yeah.
in the area. That kind of made it feel like a lot more safe. Like you're not just like in a huge city by yourself. And then I think on top of that, just knowing that there are other schools around, so you don't have to like go that far to have competition. Like
Right.
Penn has a good team; they have awesome facilities, and
That's
there's like
nice of you to
tons of
say
other
that.
schools. So
Even
It's just-
Haverford. I mean, Haverford's had some great runners in the past,
Yeah,
and they're
they have.
right up the road.
they have. So just like knowing that there's people there to run with whenever you need. So that was definitely a bonus. When looking at Villanova.
That is absolutely fantastic. So I do have to ask, what is your major there? Because you are a student athlete, and the word student comes first. And, I hope that you are a pro one day and a very successful one. But our harsh reality of runners, and a lot of them, is we just go to work afterwards. So what is your major over at Villanova?
I'm a bio major, possibly
Very
biochemistry. So school takes up a lot of my
Certainly
time.
not
What do you want to
take-
do with that? What do you want to
Certainly
do with
not
bio?
taking the easy route out. She is going for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably not med school, but maybe PA school.
I will say, just Marist, we have a great PA program. If you want to
I've
come up
heard
and
of
hang out in Poughkeepsie, it's one of the best in the country right now. It's
I've
new
been
and they're
looking into it
awesome.
recently, and I saw that actually,
If
yes.
you ever come up, I'm still in the Poughkeepsie area. I'll show you around and show you all the cool spots as you're
Awesome.
really focusing on PA school, which I don't know if anyone in the PA school actually does anything because they're just locked in. It's a good program. But
Yes.
that's really cool. I'm always happy to hear. Now back to the track. What are your future goals in track and XC? What should we look forward to for you in the next
Yeah.
2 years?
I'd say cross country, a big one is I just, me and my team, we want to go to nationals. That's like our biggest goal ever. We've been like really close
It's
the
the
past 3 years.
expectation, right?
Yeah, and then but now this year I think we have like a really solid group of girls coming in. So just to be part of that and make it on a team that goes to nationals would be a huge accomplishment for me, and I'd be so happy for my team too, to live up to that Villanova standard. And then in
So
track,
before we get to the track, what is it like being a leader now? Like, the
Right.
moment you get to a junior year, it's
Junior. Yeah.
you're done.
You're an
Like you don't
upperclassman.
you know things now. Your freshman transition's done, sophomore getting good is done. You're a junior now. Like there's more expected of you. You're the seniors or the leaders. Obviously, you have a captain, but you know how the program goes. Coach looks at you to make sure those freshmen are
Sure.
in line as well. So what's that feeling like knowing that it happens quick, right?
does
You're done sophomore year, and all of a sudden, junior
Yeah.
year happens the day sophomore year is done, and it's like, okay, I got to lead now. So, what's that feeling like, knowing that part of what happens is on your back as a junior? Like the legacy starts now, right? So, what is that like?
it's definitely like a great feeling.
Yeah,
I
I love
was
it.
just on a run with two of my teammates, and we were talking about this exact same thing.
Nice.
And then someone was like, "Yeah, tell you, like, you're a junior now, like, you're the one that people are gonna be looking to." And I
Yeah.
was like, "You're so right." Like, this is like I finally get to like share my experiences with younger girls and like share my like ups and downs and help them navigate that is so cool. And I really hope that I can be someone that they look up to and can go talk to. But it's a great feeling, I love Villanova and I love to like share that experience with other people too. So I'm excited for sure. But it is new because like I was definitely that person my freshman year who was always asking every single question ever.
Do you know what my favorite response was when Alex asked you, what are your goals? You did not mention yourself once. It was all about you and your
Yes,
team
love
getting
that.
to nationals, because I could tell that would mean more to you than if you went as an individual, like
Yes.
having those six other girls there with you that you train with all year. And that's what's great about the sport. It's the most individualized team sport that we have, because the better that you do as an individual, the better that you do as a team. So it's a weird
Exactly.
sport in that dynamic. But that's
Right.
cool how you mentioned team first. So that's cross country.
Yes.
Now we get into more of your wheelhouse. What are we trying to look at during the winter and then maybe even the spring season? Are we sticking with the 15, or do we just kind of don't know yet?
I'm not
Inside
sure yet.
baseball, let's do it. Inside baseball, let's get it.
I really thought I was, a 1500 runner, and then I ran the spring like 5 a few weeks ago or months ago, whatever, and I did surprisingly well on that. It was like a really shock to me. And then so I think after that I was like, oh, like maybe I should like venture off in the 5K area and like see where that takes me. So that's still a conversation that I have to have with
Yeah.
my
She's
down
gonna
the
take the Prefontaine route. She thought she was a miler, and she's got to jump up to the 5K. I love
Listen,
it.
that's a very common move for a lot of
Absolutely.
high schoolers, because we don't have the 5K in high school.
right.
I mean, you can find it here and there, your nats, but it's new. So what is that difference like run the first time that you ran a 5K on a track? Because you've probably only ever run them on the roads or in cross country. What was it like to run the first 5K on the track? And have you ever ventured into the 10K yet? And that's something that you have any interest in? Because that just sounds so boring to me.
Yeah.
26 laps on the track, I would lose focus. But how about you?
I've never run a 5K on a track.
Oh, okay.
Exciting.
Yeah, the long like the my spring like 5 race, which was like that 5
Right.
mile race in spring, like that
Yeah.
was like
Oh, yeah.
that was like my kind of like light. I was like, oh, like maybe like distance is my thing, but I've never actually done it, so it's we'll
That
see
would
how
be
it
a
goes.
much easier training
You go
transition too,
3Ks
right?
though, right? You've gone 3K, right?
I have gone 3K
3K.
in high school, yeah.
So that would be a much easier training transition from XC over to the track as well. And the one thing about 1500 mile in high school, you realize what fast is. Like everyone, you have wheels in high school, and then when you get to college, again, grown men, grown women, and then you realize, and it's like, I know I'm still fast, but there is a little bit of a level. Maybe I'm, and the thing is, maybe you are longer tailored, and like Dave said, that opportunity isn't there in high school. Longest we have in Jersey is 3,200, right?
Yep.
You're
Right.
running a 2 mile, you do the 5K on the course, and that's not the same. So that's pretty cool. It's going to be, that's always fun, and that's always a interesting conversation to have with coach. Like,
Yeah, we'll
what should I
see.
do here? And here's the thing. You go out, you run the 5K, you hate everything about it. You try it a few more times, you still hate it. The 15's there. It's not
Right.
like you're barred from ever running a 15 again. Like,
Yeah, no.
so you have that time, and that's fantastic. I love hearing that you're going to experiment as well, because I'm hoping that we see the
Well, she has to
blossoming
talk
of
to
one
the
of the,
coach first.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
Right,
she
yeah.
said she's having the conversation,
Coach
so I
has final
assume
say
they're
here. Coach has final
texting and
say.
Exactly,
things like
she
that.
does. Yeah.
Coach says no, then it ain't happening.
Yeah, no, but again, I wish that nothing but for the best. But
So I
you're going to
have
do
a
fantastic.
very interesting story, because I don't know if Tilly even knows this, but she was part of one of my favorite days of this whole spring track season, and she has no idea why. So we're at Penn Relays. I bring my boys team there. Okay, we run a 4x4. It wasn't our best team, but our leadoff leg, Tristan Dvalski, and runs, hands off to our second leg, Michael O'Connor. They finished their race. About an hour later, for Shore AC, Tristan Dvalskian's father hands off to Michael O'Connor's father in the Shore AC 4x4. And then a few hours later, Tilly O'Connor runs on that same track. So we had 3 O'Connors running on the same day.
That's so
And
cool.
we're not just talking at some some local meet. This is at the Penn Relays. Son, father, daughter, all in the same day. And to me, my favorite part was that the leadoff leg on my team, his father handed off to the second leg on my team. It was just such a weird.
Who had the best day?
Probably.
I PR'd a lot that day, so I would like to say me, but my dad also ran 60
He
or
did.
61. It was
You
pretty
did.
crazy.
That was. I mean,
So
we weren't sure if the dad or Michael were going to have the fastest split. That's where it got really, really close.
yeah,
What was your PR? What'd you run?
I think that day I ran 4:20,
Nice.
and then before that,
Nice.
I think it was like a 3-second PR. So
That's
I
awesome.
had been waiting for that jump. I knew I was in shape, but like my results.
420. I mean, that's
It's moving.
sub 440, probably right around there. Right around.
Yeah.
I mean, was about 20
Conversion
seconds
wise, right around
for,
there. A
for
little, maybe
40
dipping underneath
mile.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah, I was waiting for that jump, and then that race it finally happened, which was awesome. That was Penn Relays. So yeah, I was super happy.
yeah,
Good
so-
vibes. My mom runs too. She was there. She was watching. She was.
That was definitely like I
cool
I didn't
story.
realize that it happened, and then on the bus I'm like, wait, did Tristan hand off to Michael, and then Tristan's dad hand off to Michael's dad, and then Tilly ran? Like, we had 3 O'Connors on the same track in the same day,
I
all
wish
wearing
you would have brought that up.
Yeah.
wearing completely different uniforms.
If
Yeah.
you would have known that, I would have texted like Davern, because he works the stuff for Flow Track, and we
Track,
could
yeah.
have Flow Track talk about it. Next time
cool.
that's going to happen, Tilly, you got to let us know ahead of time.
Next
I don't
year.
I
Oh,
don't know if Michael's
Michael.
yeah. Unless
Yeah.
they're
gotta
doing
do it
it
again.
on a wrestling mat, I don't think it's gonna happen.
So the last thing I want to talk to you about is we usually talk about this with our athletes, but we didn't have a chance to glance over it, but the mental side of things, because you seem to have a very good demeanor mentally, but we know 90% of the sport is mental. And it kind of goes in with you being a leader, because you talked about, getting real sick during Christmas break, and the physical comes, but the mental is the last thing to come when you get to that situation, because you want to get back so fast and you have to battle with yourself.
Right.
Number one, have you had any of these experiences, that you've had to pull through in your collegiate career, and how did you do it? And number two, how are you going to impart that wisdom on these freshmen that are coming in all piss and vinegar, and they need to calm down, and then they have the slumps and the ups and downs. So what give us a little bit of your inside baseball and how you're going to be a leader for that.
I think the biggest thing that I learned was that you just have to like listen to your body. And sometimes your brain is going to be telling you one thing and your body's going to be telling you the other thing. And you have to just listen to your body. And even if you want to so bad to get out there and run, but if it's not the right decision, then you have to, be smart enough to recognize that that's not what you should be doing. And you should, take it easy. But I think, yeah, just like listening to your cues, like at the end of the day, and your coaches and your teammates, no one knows yourself like you.
Correct.
So you have to really, recognize these things. And
Yeah.
I think once you can finally like listen to yourself the right ways, like when you're going to be like performing the best. And then for the mental side of it, you kind of just, I don't know how to explain it, but like going into every race, it's like a confidence thing. Like you have to have the confidence that you're gonna go out there and do it. And then that's like the one time where I'm like, you can't listen to your body. Like even if you're
You
tired,
got to
like
bully yourself in the
you
nicest way
have,
possible.
yeah, you have to make yourself do it, even if you're
Yeah.
tired or if you're not tired. But I think, when it comes to the overall training and everything, you have to just like be smart and recognize the signs.
So with that, mental side, was it hard? Did you have any doubts, like you said earlier, when you're in the middle to the back of the pack doing cross country? Like, did you have to kind of remind yourself times, like, I'm Tilly O'Connor, like I can do this? Because that's a big change. Like we said, like from used to winning everything to be like, what the heck is going on here? So did you have to battle anything there, or were you able to just stay composed and calm and kind of get yourself where you have to be from a mental standpoint?
I'd like to say I'd stay calm, but I think deep down I know that,
You're a human being, so
yeah, I
it's
was
okay.
like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it took some time and it took like a lot of realization for me to realize that I had to just like be okay that I wasn't going to be winning these races. And it took me time to get my confidence
Sure.
back, but it was hard mentally because every race, I wanted like so bad to like just like be up front and like be there winning, but I wasn't. So I kind of just had to like change my mindset a little bit going into every race, just like know like, okay, I'm going to be in a pack and that's okay, and I just have to do the best that I can with these circumstances.
Yep.
But it was an adjustment, but
Buying into the training, buying into the plan, and just doing it, right? And it comes down to that discipline of you're really just trying to beat yourself, beating that clock every single time. And
right.
at the end of the race, then you start picking people off, right? Then like you're not racing anybody until that last like mile, right? Then
Yeah.
you're focusing on
Sure.
getting that person. And so that, and it's hard. It is hard, right?
It,
You see the times when you're going into college, but you don't realize what they really are until you're in a race and you're doing it, right? Like
right.
it's a lot, but you have a great mentality. I think
Oh,
you're,
absolutely.
I'm excited when we're able to say like, hey, see that national champion her senior year from Villanova on our show 2 years ago. But my last thing, and I promise this is no second to last because I have one more after. Super shoes. They were the topic of conversation probably last year and a half ago, have really died off in terms of notoriety. But I'm curious about all the athletes because they've seemed to have petered out not only in conversation, but a lot in use. Um, because I'm seeing a lot of stories about people just not using super shoes anymore. They don't like them. They don't like what they've done to their muscles and things like that. Do you use super shoes and how do you use them if you do? Or why don't you if you don't?
Yeah. So super shoes for me, if you asked me this question last year, I would have said never using them ever again. They destroy my calves. They give me shin splints. Like, not for me.
Yep.
I was really against them for a while. I went through my entire cross country season without using them. I was like convinced they're the reason that I got injured a lot my freshman year. So I stopped using them. But coming onto the track, I kind of realized like I needed like a lighter shoe. So I kind of
Yeah.
went to them. And so I started wearing the Vapor Flies for a lot of my workouts. And they were fine. Like nothing crazy happened. I didn't get hurt, so I was pretty happy about that. But I race in just the Dragonflies. I did my Spring Like 5 race in the super shoes and the Vaporflies. But
Yeah, it to me, it almost seems like maybe not physically too, but it seems like if you don't have them, you almost feel like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage because everybody
right.
else
Yeah.
has that. And again, whether it's a physical thing or it's just mental in your actual head, like that's what seems to be happening is that people who don't have them, it's almost becoming a placebo effect. I mean, I'm sure that they help. I've learned that if you wear them on workouts and meets and you don't do your distance runs in them, that seems to alleviate some of the issues. But who knows? Because in 3 years we're gonna have something even better and crazier. Like I mean, like what they just made for a Faith for that mile was those shoes were ridiculous.
And
Right.
illegal. And very illegal.
No, yeah, but I totally agree. I think a lot of it like is mental. Like you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm wearing these shoes, so therefore I should be running these times." And sometimes I would be running my cross country workouts, and I'd be in my trainers, and I'd be like, "Oh, like this like kind of sucks. Like I'm not gonna be able to run as fast as I can." And like looking back on it, like that was like the totally wrong mentality to have. Like the shoes, it's not an advantage at the end of the day. It's just like you tell yourself it's an advantage, and then you like have the confidence, and you run fast.
Nike has that way of changing the game. I remember when the Zoom milers came out, everybody had the Zoom milers.
Especially high school too. Like, these kids feel like they have to have them. Like you're a 5'10" miler. Like as a boy, like you don't need you need to learn how this sport works and like how to train and how to race. You don't need to worry about maybe running 4 seconds faster. Like what is that going to do for you? So I feel like some kids at times think that all that they need is the shoes and that everything else will just take care of itself.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, I have these shoes. Yeah, but you haven't been at practice in 2 weeks. Like it doesn't matter if you don't have the shoes. They're not doing anything for you if you don't run. Plus also the price. They see a lot of kids in high school. They're definitely priced out of them. So it's great. I mean, I don't know how much that I love them in high school. It's kind of one of those things like let's everybody in high school, like there should be levels. Like high school, you got to wear these kind of shoes, and then you get to college, you can go up, and then you go pro, and you.
But that's not how you sell shoes, right?
I know.
I think in the end, it's a tool, and I think like any other newfangled tool, we used it up. We're finding out the pros and cons, and then we're going to use them properly, right? So I think we're starting to see that. We're starting to see the proper use of we're not going to spike up as much. Maybe we're going to super shoe for our workouts we would normally spike up for. So, I think we're seeing that. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. So Dynamite Power, your first comment, I think you're on the wrong podcast for that one. But your second comment, 400-meter sprint, we'll just highlight it. Yeah, it is a sprint. I appreciate you, Dynamite Power. Thanks for commenting. So Tilly, last and final question here, because one of our main goals, we would love to continue to bring awareness and raise awareness for our athletes because we want you guys to eventually get paid when you do become pros. And one of our biggest issues in our sport is our pros barely get paid. The top get paid, the middle don't, the bottom don't, right? Like there's no money in pro track and field. So if you could change something about the sport, if you had a magic wand and poof, whatever change you wanted would happen, what would you change in order to, get more casual fans in, get money flowing in so we can be profitable and get our pros some money?
I would say I would just change. I would increase, put it on TV, put it on the live TV, where basketball, football always is. Because people will watch it, but if it's not there to watch, they're not going to go out of their way to type in track and field, Grand Slam, whatever.
Agreed.
So if it's advertised the right way, and if people truly see the value in track and field and start to understand its worth and its meaning, then hopefully people can get on their TVs and it can become one of those big time sports that it deserves to be. So that's that's what the goal.
I love it.
Exposure. It's all about exposure. We need, and it has to be free. Flow Track is doing an unbelievable job, but people are not going to pay $30 every month just to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Get it up from behind a paywall. I mean, we've said it a million times,
and it's so hard to watch races sometimes. There's 50 different websites you have to have for, and
Runner Space. You need Mile Split. You need
Mile Split Plus. You need
Flow Track.
Flow Track.
And then there's some weird off ones that they're on. Or they're on YouTube. Or it's just we need Alex. Have we ever thought of this? Someone needs to start a track and field channel.
It wouldn't work.
Channel that's just track and field.
That wouldn't work. We don't support
streaming channel. Streaming
streaming maybe, yeah, but we don't there was the Olympic channel, and the Olympic channel awesome. Had so many. Yeah, but
we are dating ourselves.
They took it off, right?
Ooh,
I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was 10 years ago that they went off the air, 15 maybe. But they it's something that we need to be better about supporting it as well, because the thing is, it's we need to be the ones to watch and drag our friends to sit down and watch it, right? If we're not doing it, as track fans, we love to talk about it, but then when a meet's on, we're like, hey, can you please turn that meet on? Oh no, oh, you're bored. Sorry, I didn't mean to ask about track. We have to sit there and be like, no, Faith Kipyegon's in this race, Sid's running, Fred Curley's there. I want to see. Who are they? Watch and you'll find out. You know what I mean? It's
right.
We need to be more out and about that type of stuff. So
and I
it's
think
on us as
people
well.
don't realize the true talent that these people have. When people watch races, they're like, oh, that's really fast. But they don't realize like the work that goes behind it, and
Yeah.
like really how fast people are running now is totally insane. And I think sometimes people forget that, and especially people who don't run, they don't really recognize that. So it's
No.
up
That's why.
to like
Yeah.
educate people on it and tell
Sure.
them like, you know, how crazy this is and how it's so important for us to like watch and support them.
That's
Yes.
why we always say, like, put it in layman's terms, like, turn a school bus on its side, and that's how high Mondo Duplantis is going. Or go to your bowling alley and find a 16-pound bowling ball and try to throw it. That's what
Yeah.
Ryan Krauser is throwing. Like,
Or
make
even
it, put
like
it in layman's terms, so people have to be like, what?
Well, breaking the 4-minute barrier just to that extent, like what Faith Kipyegon was trying to do. She was trying to run faster than 17 miles per hour the whole time.
Right.
Like that, when you put it in that, people are like, "Wait a minute, 17."
Get
Pretty
in your
fast.
car and try to run 70 miles an hour.
Exactly. Try to sit there like try to run 17 and hold it as someone drives next to you, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like, and I think those are the type of things where we miss out on those opportunities, right? It's easier to do with the field, but in running sometimes, like people get the sprints, right? 100's
Right.
really fast, 200's really fast. When they're sitting there and they're watching like, someone in the 10K, and we have women just consistently clipping off sub fives. It's like they don't understand what that is. Like, they're running 4:45 per mile in the 10K. It's like, do you guys not understand how fast they're going? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so maybe we could, that's something we could do, Dave, like a 5-minute challenge. Like people think they can run 5 flat, go run 5 flat. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Let's
Like,
see how far you actually get
yes, exactly.
in 5 minutes.
I
like
had a
it.
great story where I had 2 football players. They will remain nameless, but friends of mine and good athletes, really good starters on the football team. And I played football, but I was also our best distance runner. And they're like, "Hey, we think we can run 5 flat. Do you want to pace us through it?" And I'm like, "Do you want to go even, or do you want to actually try to go?" They're like, "No, we'll do even." So I just even split, and we got to the half mile, and they're like,
75.
"We're still even." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're 75s."
Yeah.
It's not,
75,
75s, clipping through 75s. And they're like, "Wait a minute, this is how fast you have to go." "Oh, yeah, 2 more laps." And they're like, "Yeah, we're done."
And by the way, that's not that fast. So.
No, exactly. So that's the thing. So outside of that, Tilly, I think that we agree with you, and we just love to compile these because one day I will go and like find all these, and I will just make like a whole entire clip thing about all the great ideas and just send it to somebody that matters in USATF and be like, "Here, we solved your freaking problem for you." But that I digress on that. So once again, Tilly, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Tilly.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So once again, she is Tilly O'Connor. She is a St. Rose great, not even a shy away New Jersey great, and currently Villanova Wildcat cross country track and field runner, and coming into her junior year. And will be a monster. And like I said, it's going to be really cool when we can sit there. And after she wins her first natty, we're going to be like, "Hey, come on the show again." And because we have this connection, darn it, she's going to do it. But once again, we appreciate you. You can go find her on her Instagram at Tilly O'Connor _ and go hang out there and see all of her exploits and things like that, workouts and all that fun stuff that she posts about her life as a student athlete. And go find us again, Talking in Ovals anywhere. You can find a podcast on all social media. Just go search that. I looked. We are the only Talking in Ovals anywhere, which is surprising that nobody took this pun. But I'm very happy that they didn't. And now we have enough episodes that it will be copyright infringement. Darn it. Don't do it. Be nice. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week.
Thanks, guys.
So long, y'all.